Afternoon, everyone. It's Anthony here from the Retro Gaming Store. How are you? It's absolutely baking hot, and I'm sitting in front of a window in my office now, and the sweat is just pouring off me. But as I said last week, I was going to start a kind of a mini video series of. So we're celebrating 11 years in business this year. We're also only a couple of weeks away from our first full year in our new store. And I kind of wanted to go back right to the beginning and kind of just give people a little bit of an insight into how the business actually started, what we started with, and kind of how we went from there to where we are now. So basically, in April 2014, we got wind in work. I used to work for a bank, that they were looking at making redundancies and moving our jobs, or outsourcing was the big word back then, probably still is now, but outsourcing was the word that was being bandied about, and that turned out to be true. They offered redundancy. They notified us in April in 2014. I finished up in September, or no, actually tell a lie, I finished up in October 2014, the Halloween. The 31st of October was my last day in work. It's kind of ironic. But basically, what I did between April and October was kind of sit down and think, obviously, I had a mortgage and a bill to pay like everybody else. And obviously, people probably panic thinking, oh, just being made redundant. What am I going to do? How am I going to pay the bills? I could have done that. I could have taken another role within the company, but to be honest, I was sick and tired of that place anyway. And they're now gone. So I'm glad I kind of got out when I did. But yeah, so I started looking at kind of, what do I do? Do I want to go work for somebody else? Did I want to get out of that kind of corporate rat race, which I was kind of bored of anyway. The money was really good, but obviously that's the joys of kind of working in that industry. The money gets you in, the money kind of keeps you in. But the job and corporate life just wasn't for me, really. So I kind of sat down and thought, should I do something online? I had obviously a decent enough redundancy package to kind of give myself time to think, right, what do I want to do? Do I want to go back into the workforce and do something totally different? Did I want to go back to college? I do have 2 degrees, so I don't think a third one would have made much difference, to be honest. And I thought, well, I've always wanted to open a store. Opening a video game store back then in 2014 kind of on its own was totally not viable for me. The sums of money that would have been involved in doing that would have been astronomical and well beyond my means. It was just me. So I thought, we'd been buying and selling phone accessories for 2 years in our local market on Fridays and Saturdays, and had been really fun to do. We were ahead of the curve. We were cheaper than everybody else, and I thought, maybe I could try this for a couple of years, find a small store to do it, try it for a couple of years and see how we get on. I did have a business partner at the time, Steve. Steve's amazing. Ended up being my groomsman at my wedding, and he owns Mr. Barber's now in Kilran. So he really took a different route in life, and he didn't want to go into the shop. He actually wanted to go and train as a barber. It's kind of something he'd always wanted to do, and total respect for that. Because I wanted to do something that wasn't quite what I was about to do either. So I decided to go around and look for a store in town, in Wexford town, and we'd found a place. Well, I keep referring to we because I always do, it's just the way I talk. I'd found a place that I liked, and I went to go view it, and I was told it was available, and I was happy with the rent. I was happy with kind of everything else involved in it, and I'd said yes to the estate agent. I was happy to take that. And I got a call the next day saying, I'm really sorry, but this was actually taken the morning that you went to view it. The other estate agent hadn't gone back to the office and hadn't informed anybody that this had happened. So I was a little pissed off, to say the least. So I was just wandering around the town on my lunch break, because I was still working at the time. So I was wandering around on lunch break, and I came across this little small store opposite what was then Heaton's, which is now Sports Direct in Wexford town. Nothing really kind of, shall I say, caught my eye about the store, only the fact that it was vacant. It was right under Kevin Killeen's tattoo shop, and I've known Kevin longer than I've been in that store. And I thought, well, I'll go and kind of just look in the window, and all I could see was bright pink and glitter. Lots of glass, lots of pink and lots of glitter. Got the estate agent's details and said there's no harm in going in to have a check and see what it's all about. So I went down. Turned out that the landlord was somebody that I'd met a very, very long time ago. They'd actually given me my first ever job as a 16-year-old, which was pretty scary. Thought that my first time opening a store would be from the owners of somebody who gave me my first ever kind of introduction into working life, which is really cool. And they have to say they've been the best, and they were the best landlords I think we could ever ask for. They never asked for anything more. In 10 years I was there, I pretty much had free reign to do what I wanted. And if I had any issues, I could always pick up the phone. And we still chat regularly now, which is amazing. But I went in, had a look around. The smell hit me as well. There's always been a damp smell in that store. I know why. The back door that was on the other side of the toilet really wasn't fit for purpose. We did what we could with it. We sealed it up. We never planned on using it. There was a tiny courtyard outside that had no real function for us. So we just said, right, sort it out. That got rid of the smell for quite a while. And we kind of just sat there. And this is actually just me and my cousin. We just sat there, kind of looked around and said, what are we going to do with this place? Because neither of us have great imagination in terms of turning what was a damp squid into an actual retail store. But this was in May, and I went to the estate agent and said, I am really interested in it. Do you want to sit back and have a look at the figures and see what I can do, see if I can increase supply? Because obviously we're only getting small amounts of stock because it was a market stall, and we're only selling kind of at the weekends. And to go from that to a much bigger store was a lot of risk, and it was all my own money. So it was an incredible amount of risk to do at the beginning. There was no bank loans or anything like that. I used my redundancy money to actually go in and do all this by myself. And I'm really glad I did. But we got there in the end. November 3rd, 2014 was the day we opened the store. We'd had a little bit of a night on November 2nd. I was kind of still recovering from a pretty major hangover from Halloween night, because it was my leaving do. So I didn't take any break. I actually went straight from the Friday down to the shop then the next day. The pricing, by the way, hadn't arrived, so I had to hand price 3,000 products 2 days before we opened the store. And I had a massive hangover. It was freezing cold. This store had no heat, never had heat. And yeah, that was fun. And our first customer turned in 2 hours after we opened. Just before that, the price and gun labels actually arrived, so that was good. But yeah, so we opened the store, and I've always referred to everything as we. I don't know, because I mean, I didn't meet my wife for 2 more years, but I just say we all the time. It's just a force of habit. But opened the store on the 3rd of November, Monday the 3rd of November. Not much fanfare. Not much costing either, to be honest. I think in that first week we made like 300 quid. And I was like, how the f am I going to pay any wages? I was used to having a regular salary, and then there's this. And then obviously out of that money, you have to deduct rent, rates, insurance, light, heat, electricity, blah, blah, blah. You name it, it came out of that 300 euros. So I found I was funding myself for the first couple of months. But on next week's video, I'll go through our first Christmas and what happened straight after Christmas, which would put most people off actually ever owning a store, especially when 2 things happened within a space of a couple of weeks. So yeah, hopefully you like the video. Hopefully you like the content that's coming up. Again, I'll be throwing in my random videos every now and then during the weeks as well, when we get something new or something cool to talk about. But just at the end of that, talking about something interesting on Monday this week. I was just minding my own business in store, and this gentleman walks in. He didn't look like he was in the best of health, and he collapsed on the floor and suffered a heart attack. So that was my Monday afternoon this week. The gentleman didn't speak great English. I obviously tried to make him as comfortable as I could. It's been a long time since I did my first aid. course. But I did what I could. The ambulance came. I'll rephrase that. The ambulance didn't come. 45 minutes waiting for an ambulance for a gentleman who had a heart attack. And in the end, his two sons rushed down in the car. I managed to get through to one of them on the phone. Again, his English wasn't great, but the sons actually spoke pretty decent English. And they were literally straight down, and they dragged him out of the shop into the car and rushed him to hospital. I hope he was okay. I haven't heard anything other than that since that day, so I do hope that he's okay. But yeah, so that's the first video of how we started and our route to getting to where we are today. Thanks for watching, everyone. Enjoy the summer while it's here with us, and I'll see you all soon. Take care. Bye bye.